Hello, welcome inside the Hera Press Box. We are back for our Thursday evening episode. You're here with Clay and Alyssa, and let's dive right into the meat of one of the topics for tonight. And haven't even watched your Snapchat yet. Supposedly this gives it away what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I figured this is what it was.
It definitely gives it away.
And I hadn't even notice until that I typed out the team that those that Lloyd and Krieger were left off.
Lloyd, okay, yeah. I have a different opinion on Lloyd, but
Okay.
So in terms of Lloyd, it makes a little bit of sense because she's injured. She's still recovering. You're not sure where she's going to be at in her recovery. You would think she'd be good to go in 2 weeks? It seems like it from what I've been seeing and observing is that she's going to be ready to go. But then again, this is just friendlies. If Jill's still in her experimental stage, which seems like she is, then there's no really reason to kind of throw her out there, risk injury or further injury, or risk putting her out there too far or pushing her too hard or anything like that. So I can understand that move. I wasn't upset about that one at all. I noticed that, but I wasn't upset about that one. The one I'm upset about is Ali Krieger. Not exactly sure if she's just completely moved away from her, which seems to be odd at this point, or she's moving away from her in the sense of she's not going to be as good, 2 years down the line. She's thinking that she's not going to be a part of the national team then, if she's just, so in essence, she's just moving forward and giving other people a chance to come in and kind of get to know the team, get involved in being called up to camp and stuff like that. But I still just don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know where she's at, where her thinking is at on that one. I could keep talking about how she needs to get it together, but that may be for another time. But overall, I thought the roster was pretty good. I'm glad to see Tobin Heath on it, which means that she's ready to go. So hopefully we'll be able to take a look at her this weekend, possibly. Rose is on there, which is awesome to see because she's going to be able to go back home and play in front of her hometown crowd. Just kind of seeing if there's anybody else on here that I was kind of like, oh.
Yeah, so Tierna Davidson from Stanford. Defender is the questionable choice.
Right.
And that's the spot that Krieger does not have. And then I would even question Taylor Smith's placement on the team. She looked solid in the last game, but she's next in line for me as far as placement of Krieger.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Davidson. A quote from Chris Henderson was his tweet, "Oh God, Jill Ellis, stay away from the college players during college season."
Yeah. Yeah, that's that was another mind-blowing thing right there for me. And why are you taking away a top player on a top team? It doesn't even necessarily matter what team she's coming from. Just let them play with their team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and last fall, it was then when Rose Lavelle was on the fence as far as getting a call up, and talking to her dad at the Wisconsin games, he said that Jill Ellis had been on the phone with Rose Lavelle and Paula Wilkins, who's Wisconsin's head coach, and they had all talked about whether or not to call Rose up. Rose had struggled with injuries, and Wisconsin was in the midst of a conference race and a NCAA berth.
Right.
So the decision was made not to call her up in that. And I do think that Coach Wilkins had enough to say about that. I'm sure Rose didn't want to go and play it, and she would rather play in college. But it was a decision made, and that was one of the 2 or 3 main big reasons why.
Right. And I think that if I'm any college coach, I'm saying don't even think about calling my players up. I mean, obviously it's a great honor and it's awesome on an individual basis to be called up while you're in college, to be called up in general. But if I'm a coach, I'm saying don't even think about it. It's not happening type of deal. And if I'm the player, it's difficult because you're torn because you want to play on the national team. You want to get that call up. But at the same time, what are you supposed to do about your college team? And I think that's difficult. I think Jill Ellis is just off the reins right now.
Yeah, and to reference another Wisconsin player, we saw Victoria Pickett, who redshirted for a season and to play with the Canadian national team, and that was for the under-20 World Cup. So she was able to redshirt. And I guess that shows a lot of responsibility on her part to look that far ahead and to prepare for that. And I'm sure she had help with preparing for that from coaches. But I can't see this being out of left field for Davidson to get the call up. It would shock me if she had no idea that this was going to happen, and
right.
this shouldn't have been a spur of the decision.
Right. Let's hope it wasn't either, because if it was, I don't even have really the words to go about this, just in the sense of some of these roster moves that Jill Ellis is making in general, and I'm not just talking this call up, I'm talking the last year or so, really have just been questionable, whether we're talking about friendlies or whether we're talking about an actual tournament going on.
Any comments about Davidson from the time you watched them play live?
Not really, just because I was so busy on trying to get us from not giving up 10 goals in a game. And I really, honestly, the only player that I really was impressed with the whole time was Pickett. I mean, she just needs to take the ball and go. She just needs to play every position. Just put her out there. She'll be fine. Clem is fine. In goal. Just her and Pickett.
So as far as speaking about players and players getting promoted and recognition, I think I told you about this player. So you had asked me who you should follow on Instagram, and one of the players I told you to follow, Taylor Gonzalez. I don't know if you did, but this is a reminder and two sort of a plug. So I don't know. It'd be very cool for us as a Hera press box to kind of see or help kind of this situation where this Taylor Gonzalez has on her Instagram bio, and I should just pull it up so that way I can read it. But she talks about former soccer player, and her big goal is to play professionally. So she posts these videos on Instagram of training and working on her skills. Her bio is soccer specific account. Everything I've learned in life, I've learned with a ball at my feet. Collegiate soccer player aspiring to go pro. So she just graduated last spring, I do believe, from Montevallo College. I think it's college. And she's a 5'2" midfield. 8 goals in her senior season, and it's a small school, so
right.
Not a whole lot of recognition there, but just wanted to give her a shout out because, it's fun watching these videos. That'd be awesome to get looks. I don't know, if she'd be able to, or if she plans on trying out for professional teams as she has before, if she wants to stay here or go overseas. But just something I want to keep an eye on and maybe promote her as much as we can, because I think that'd be pretty cool to get her out there.
Yeah, the videos are awesome. I love anything like that. It's just cool and incredible to see how much skill these people actually have. And
yeah, and it's we've been seeing recently like Danny Calaprico and Alyssa Motts out in the middle of Chicago doing these skill training workout sets, and this is a version of that. So they are very cool.
Yeah, crazy athletes, crazy athletic moves. It's unreal.
Yeah, Gonzo Girl 11 is her Instagram or handle. What is it called on Instagram? You don't know?
Sure.
How long have you been on Instagram?
Let's find out. A long time, handful of years.
You don't know if it's a handle or a tag or a name?
Twitter name? Twitter handle?
Twitter handle? Mm-hmm.
No, it's an Instagram. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Instagram, I've been on it for 5 years. I know what I'm talking about.
I figured. Another bit of soccer
There's no
news.
name for it. Just like, it's my Instagram. There's my Instagram name.
That's pretty lame. Another bit of soccer news from a player who will no longer be playing in the league. And I don't know if you read it. Stephanie LeBay, the goalie from the Washington Spirit, says, quote, "It is with great difficulty that the Spirit and I have decided that I will take a medical leave of absence for the remainder of this season." Then she goes on to talk about the decision. So that'll be interesting moving forward. I haven't heard much else if they've added a player.
Yeah, I noticed last week that she wasn't in goal, and I guess I didn't really think twice about it in the sense of, oh, that's kind of weird that she wasn't in goal. Just kind of figured she was hurt or they sidelined her. I mean, they're really not in any sort of playoff shape, so I figured they were just kind of giving their backups some minutes. So it was interesting to see that, a handful of days later, this is what's going on. I haven't seen anything so far as to essentially why or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't either. I don't know where they're at in the race for Andy Sullivan, as Chris Henderson calls them.
That race for Andy.
So they tied with the Breakers, 16 points. Both have 3 games remaining. Both have lost the last 4, so it's a pretty good race down to the wire between Boston and Washington.
Yeah. Who would benefit most, do you think?
Washington and Boston, between those two?
Yeah.
Well, what Boston spent on their midfield last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Anybody can use the skill set that Andy Sullivan brings, but most convenient, I would say Washington.
Yeah.
Impressed with you by Sullivan when you saw them live?
Say that again?
How impressed were you by Sullivan when you saw them live?
She was good. I don't remember her being, I guess, and it was difficult. It's a lot different watching in person than being able to have the broad view of the television, which is kind of one thing that I like. I love going to games and I love being able to see the action, but to be able to see everything, it's really difficult. She held it down in the midfield. I think the Badgers were just off their game that day, and like I said, 80-20 possession-wise would probably have been generous. So we really had no midfield presence besides Pickett.
Mm-hmm.
And Sullivan didn't start. I don't know if that's a thing that happens. I mean, I guess it's not such a big deal in college because you can be switching players in and out all the time, which the Badgers seem to be doing so well at. So, yeah, I think she did. From what I remember, she was great, obviously, and held it down. She didn't need to be anything too spectacular. I just don't think it was a great game from the Badgers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty easy for her to play well.
Yeah, so listed as midfielders on the Spirit website roster.
Mhm.
Jensen, Solon, Benini, Profits, who they just picked up from the Red Stars after
Right.
they cut her. Bowman and Huster, Ado, and Maggie Doherty Howard are listed as midfield. And then for the Breakers, you have
Rose.
Rosie White, Rose Lavelle, which those two right there are on this
Right.
Washington squad. Morgan Andrews, Angela Salem. So, yeah.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Andy Sullivan's a starter on the Boston Breaker squad from day one, if that remains their roster.
Right. Right. Did you watch the NWSL game tonight?
Just the last 10 minutes.
Oh, well, that was the most exciting part of the game.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
I wasn't sure what we were going to get, if we were going to get a bunch of goals or if it was going to be, locked all game, or if it was, be going 1-1 into the end of the game. But
who's in goal?
For who?
Both teams. I can't remember who was playing. I know Orlando was playing.
Ashlyn Harris was in goal and Lydia Williams.
Lydia Williams.
Yeah.
You see that save she had?
Oh my God, I'm not saying that she's bad. I just didn't prefer her over Jane Campbell. That's all that I'm saying. I can't have a preference of goalies.
Also, you're cheering for this Pride team that you just slammed.
I said, what did I say?
Ago.
What did I say?
Oh, I know what you said.
I said,
how about you want to talk about a loyal team?
I'm not a loyal fan.
Who have the Reign gotten rid of? Just shipped off their island.
Who did they get rid of?
I don't remember anybody.
No. But shut up.
Not like the Pride, not like the team you're cheering for to beat them.
Nah. I just want them to make the playoffs because you don't think that they're going to make the playoffs. So I just want them to make the playoffs. I don't care what they do in the playoffs. I just want them to make it.
So there's a movie, Battle of the Sexes?
Yes. Did the commercial just come on?
Yeah.
I totally told you about that.
No,
you need to pay. Yes, you need to pay attention to your Snapchats then.
No, you did not send me that.
Yes, I did. That was when the U.S. Open began. I sent you a video.
I said Wisconsin was going to lose to William and Mary?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, because that part of your life just never happened.
It definitely happened. I guarantee it. I would put money on it. But yeah, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. Well, just to educate you on Battle of the Sexes, since you happen to not see the Snapchat that I sent you, it's about when Billie Jean King, who did she even play? I don't even know the name of the guy anymore. But it's about that and kind of leading up to that and everything surrounding that. And I'm interested to see if it's essentially going to be good, but is it accurate? That's kind of what I want to know. Is it just going to be blown out of proportion about what things were said, how things were done, and things like that, which to an extent it will. And I'm sure we'll hear about it if it's incorrect, but hopefully they get it close enough to the truth.
Who's in it?
Is it Emma Stone and Steve Carell?
Is Billie Jean King?
Yes.
Okay, well, they've stacked those to begin with for me then. September 22nd release date for that.
Okay, I was just gonna say, when does that come out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Steve Carell playing Bobby Riggs.
Yes, that's who's Bobby Riggs.
So as far as the U.S. Open goes, the championship is set between Sloane Stephens and Madison Keys. Keys won in straight sets against Coco Vandeweghe, and Sloane Stephens and Venus Williams, a very
odd match.
very odd match. 6-1 Stephens, 0-6 Venus, and then 6-4 Sloane. Is that right? Then 6-4 Sloane.
Was it?
Don't know. Maybe.
I think it was
6-4 Sloane.
It was 7-5.
Maybe 7-5. 7-5 Sloane. How you expected to shake out? When did you watch both matches? When did you kind of turn the tide on, okay, Venus is getting beat?
Well, I thought it was going to be over in the second set. Venus looked tired mentally, physically, all of the above. She just looked drained. So I didn't even think it was going to be close. And then she came out in the second set. She get broken right away. I think she served, and then everything just kind of switched in her favor. And I'm like, okay, maybe she's got this. And then third set, they kind of just went back and forth. And I think what didn't help Venus whatsoever is they got into some longer rallies. She was getting tired, and you could just tell that she wasn't using her legs. She wasn't hitting through balls, and she would just either launch it or it was going in the bottom of the net. And Sloane, she didn't make mental lapses like Venus did in that third set, at least from what I observed. And she was just so calm, cool, and collected. Not that Venus was, but she kind of just took everything in stride.
Yeah, your point about the length of points, and it showed a stat, and I don't remember certain numbers, but it was, Sloane was 80% victorious in points that lasted longer than 9 volleys or something like that. It wasn't even close. What physically looked like the deciding factor of the match, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that whoever was going to win that 7th game, so whoever was going to go up 4-3, was going to end up winning the match. And Sloane broke on that, and she went up 4-3. But I do believe Venus broke back after that, if I'm not mistaken.
So how does the style of play from Stephens tonight compare against Keys on Saturday?
I think Sloane Stephens has just incredible defense. She got to everything that Venus threw at her, and I'm not exactly sure how she did it. And she did it with ease. It wasn't like she was lunging at things and trying to get balls in. She was getting to them. I don't know. We'll see with Keys. It looked like at the end there, and I had gone away from watching it for about 10 minutes, and it seemed like within that span, Keys had gone off and got her thigh wrapped up. So I don't know if that's anything. If she kind of felt at that point, I do believe she was up 4-2 or 5-2 when that happened, when she took a break. So if that's anything essentially major that can really disrupt her play, then Sloane Stephens is going to take absolute control over it. And I think Madison Keys needs to trust her backhand. She's had 2 surgeries on her left wrist. So if she can trust that, I think it's going to be game over for Stephens.
And you think there's more of a chance of that happening than anything in favor of Keys?
Yeah. I think, yeah, I think Keys will win.
Did you notice any change in the crowd? And when did you notice it? Because I noticed it.
Change in the crowd in which match?
Because they were all for Venus and Stevens.
Well, no. Are you asking in terms of who they favored?
Yeah.
Well, every crowd is going to favor Venus.
Yeah, until the third set when one of those shots that you're talking about that Sloane got to everything and wound up hitting a floater over Venus's head, and the entire stadium stood up.
Yeah. I mean, and they even said this, and I don't know if you were listening, but everywhere Venus goes, she's going to be essentially the fan favorite. Everyone's going to be cheering for her, wanting her to win, especially at the U.S. Open. Just the history that she's had with tennis, and she's earned it. She's deserved it. She should be the fan favorite going into it. The way she handles herself on and off the court, she deserves to be the fan favorite, and she should be the fan favorite. But I think you're right. That was a ridiculously long rally where you thought Venus won it there, and she was able to track down. And then the next shot, you thought Venus was going to get the point. She tracked it down. Again, I don't know how she got to everything.
Yeah, so it was. You're right. I mean, it's not. I wasn't by the tide of the fans cheering for Venus, but just in that moment, it was very foreshadowing, I guess you could say, as far as what's next, who's next. Here's this Sloane Stevens, 24-year-old American, back on the scene and on this stage for the first time in her life and taking full advantage of it.
Right.
And yeah, okay, so we should start paying attention to her now, was kind of the atmosphere that I got from the TV screen.
Yeah. She wasn't going anywhere tonight. Seemed like that second set flew by, and I don't even know if she even knew what happened in that second set, because it was over in what seemed like 5 minutes.
Almost better than, say, her getting beat 6-3 or 6-4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't know.
So I've thought about that, and I think I think so. At the same time, tennis is a sport where you're never out of it. You're never out of and I didn't watch the second set. I didn't watch the first two sets, but when she was down 4-0, if she's serving down 4-0, I'm not sure if she was, but let's say she was serving down 4-0, you win that, then you break a serve and you're serving again and you hold, then you're only down 4-3. So tennis is a sport where you're never out of it, but at the same time, there has to be some sort of strategy there, and that scouting report of your opponent, knowing, anticipating what's next, what's in your best interest. And there have been plenty of times where I've wondered, if you're down 40 love facing a serve, who's not to say you're just gonna give that one away, or down like she was down 5-0. Let's maybe try to hit back and forth down the alleys and see if we can make Venus move more than what she wants to. And if she hits a good shot, then she hits a good shot, and we go to the next set. And try to win it there.
Yeah, and that's what I saw from Coco tonight. It was pretty much just either she knew she was off or she was confident in going in, and then all of a sudden she's like, I just don't have it tonight. It's just not happening tonight. And that's the tough thing about tennis. And to be quite honest with you, I don't understand why coaches can't come down. They can outside of majors, but they can't on majors. You can't be saying anything to your player on the court, anything like that, helping them out in any way. So I don't understand that. So I think that's a downfall, but it also puts so much pressure on the player to perform and be able to mentally push through that. And I think at the end of the day, that's why you see Rafa and that's why you see Sharapova essentially kind of embrace being mentally tough and being able to come back from down love 40 on serve or down, 2 breaks and come back and win the set. And that's what I think distinguishes good players from great players, in the sense of it's never over. You have to take it point by point, because you never know. If you're going to just give up at love 40, well, you might as well just walk off the court if you're going to give up, especially if you're giving up a set.
Right. And well, first, as far as giving up, are you talking, so elaborate on that and compare it to me talking about the hit it down the lines, and if they hit a shot that isn't worth taking more than 3 steps, 3 lunges at.
Right.
Are you considering that giving up?
Yeah, because you're not giving 100%. So if you're not going to give 100%, then what are you doing on the court?
So if you're down 5-0,
the set's not over.
It's not over.
It's not over, but again, and I understand where you're coming from. Like, that would most likely be my mindset. It is my mindset in tennis when I go out and play.
So let's go softball. I mean, I think it's as simple as it's as simple as a runner on second and you're trying to get her over to third. So you put down a sacrifice bunt. Is that person giving up?
No, because it's advantageous for you to do.
Technically, yes.
Well, it's
just like it's just like trying to hit those shots down the line. Okay, maybe guess what? Maybe you hit 3 perfect down the line that they don't get to. Maybe you get on base. Maybe they throw a bad throw down the first baseline and that runner scores. So that's where I'm coming from as far as
right. But I think in the sense of, let's just hit it here and see what happens, versus I'm going to hit it here to make her start running so that I can win this point. Those are 2 completely different things.
Right. And only one of those was I suggesting that.
Right. But yeah, I completely understand that. And it's a sense of, am I going to give up 1 game, or am I going to be able to rattle off, let's say, 7 games in a row? So she would be winning the set versus going to a tiebreaker. So you could say 6 games, whatever, however you want to call it, with the chance of me winning this set, essentially. So I have a chance of winning this set, but what happens if I don't win this set? Then I just put all this energy into the second set, and now I have nothing left in the tank for the third set. So that's where conditioning comes in the sense of you're able to push through it and you're able to rattle off 6 or 7 games. And even if you don't end up winning the set, you still have something left in the tank for the third set.
You had mentioned, and this goes along with that, endurance, strength, and that's just the mindset, the mental toughness. And I think that's what you're alluding to in your comment kind of after the match about, well, it is, I guess, whether or not you meant it to be, but just her coolness, her talking after the match, and her even her actions on the court. There's nothing too out of control from her. If anything, she covers her mouth like, oh my gosh, how did I do that? Just like the shot that she left short. She did that last match where she had a chance to put one in the clay and in the point, but instead she sailed it and it almost went in the first row of the crowd. So that's very respectable to see from her, and that just shows you that toughness she has, mental toughness. You disagree?
I would say that. I wouldn't say that that's mental toughness. I honestly think that there was a little bit of coldness to it when, obviously with her being an American, she's going to be compared. Everyone that's an American tennis player has these two amazing players, the greatest tennis players to ever walk the face of this earth, that came before them. And so they're always going to be compared to them. That's just how essentially it's going to be. And going back to, was it yesterday, I do believe, or the day before that, someone on ESPN, and I don't remember who it was, had said she kind of, put herself in a different category, distinguished herself. Never really, from what I gather, never really embraced the fact that, they were the ones to come before her. They laid the groundwork for pretty much anyone who's coming after them. And it's a matter of giving respect where respect is given. And I think she did an okay job with that, with when they had asked about, what about your competitor that you had tonight, meaning Venus. And she did give respect. I think it was a little bit cold and wasn't genuine, I guess.
Why did they phrase it that way?
Say which way, the question?
Yeah, because they actually called her competitor, kind of like leading her into, okay, let's take away her personality and let's let you rip her down and act like she's a nobody.
Right. I don't know. I think all of those questions at the end of the day aren't the greatest questions to ask. I don't think interviewing players right before they walk onto the court is a good idea in any
That's what the
sense.
people want, though, Alyssa.
But you're not getting anything from them before the match. What are they going to say? Like, here's my game plan.
Don't worry.
I just don't like questions like that. I think the media asks terrible questions to begin with. And essentially, what is she supposed to say? Right? What is she supposed to say about Venus? Well, she's got to be good. She's great, and all this and that. She's not going to tear her down.
She just said she's overrated.
Right. She's not going to say that because she's not. And you can't tear down someone who's a champion and who has always been a champion and who at the age of 37 is playing in the semifinals of a major when everyone thought that she was going to be done. And to me, she seemed like the Maria Sharapova before her suspension, where she not maybe such a locker room person, not, going too far outside of herself to say, hey, how's it going in the locker room or anything like that, and just kind of keeping to herself, which there's no issue. I don't really have an issue. I have an issue with it a little bit, but in the general sense, it's not bad. I just am not a fan of that. Nor was I ever a fan of Maria being like that either. And so that's why I was really excited that Maria comes out and, is signing autographs for fans after taking pictures, actually looking happy after a match that she won. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
So tell me, what is we've seen the headline as far as Ostapenko being the next star. Headline for Sloane Stephens taking down Venus. Do we see anything outrageous? Do we see anything jumping the gun? We do?
Oh, there was already – it wasn't necessarily a headline or anything like that. There was a picture on Instagram. I do believe it was ESPNW who put it out, and it was, the first American woman or second American woman to make her finals debut at the U.S. Open, and the other one was Serena Williams back in like 99 or something like that. Yeah, here, I got it pulled up. It is ESPNW.
Yeah, I did see that.
Sloane Stephens will compete in her first Grand Slam final on Saturday, the last time an American woman made her major final debut at the U.S. Open. Serena in 99.
But you wouldn't call that outrageous, would you?
I wouldn't call it outrageous, but I think it's just the start.
So I'm talking
like she's the next great American. She's gonna rule.
That this is her, like my personal.
Don't even get me started.
That this is. You don't think we see any of those headlines?
Oh, I think we do, but okay. I think we see it for both players, or depending on who wins this. I think we see it.
Does that diminish? So let's say Madison Keys wins. Does her win diminish because she faced even though a younger unranked Stevens or a elder ranked legend, Venus Williams. Does that diminish that it's no longer that Venus win?
I don't think so. Because, no, in my mind, no. Yes and no. In the sense of, it's like, how do I want to phrase this? Yes, she's not playing the great, essentially, the greatest player, which you would hope that in the end, your finals are the two greatest players. And the two greatest players at the time that have been playing well during this whole tournament are meeting. So at the end of the day, how can you say how can you say her win would be diminished?
I don't think it should, but I think it will. I agree with you that Stevens was the better player tonight. She deserves to be in that championship more than Venus does.
Right. Do you think it's diminished? No matter who would have won, no matter who was in the finals, do you think it's diminished because Serena wasn't in the tournament?
Yeah.
Okay. That I would agree with.
That stems from the beginning of the tournament when you start saying that it's wide open. And yeah, Serena's ahead above everybody else, but head and shoulders that's debatable.
Right.
If she has she's going to have more than a bad day, but compare a bad day with a great day from the players that we've talked about on the podcast, and we're talking about a huge upset.
Yeah, to me, it was pretty much Serena and everybody else. Just kind of like on the men's side where it was Rafa and Federer and then everybody else. It's just, at the end of the day, that's how it is. And I don't, in a way, it's diminished, but at the same time, you still are a Grand Slam champion no matter who wins, no matter who would have been in the finals. It's an incredible feat to be able to go through a major and say that you're the champion of that major.
Mm-hmm.
So in that aspect, I don't think it should be diminished because it's an amazing accomplishment in a career. It's what everybody hopes for.
Yeah, and definitely 5 to 10 years down the line, that what is now thought to be diminished is kind of disappears. You
right.
forget completely the players who didn't play.
Right.
So on the Wikipedia page, it's not going to say.
I was going to say there probably will be.
Yeah, there could be.
But Serena's done that. Do you know what I'm saying? She's set the tone. So if you're not going to be able to keep up with it, then this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Serena's just too good and too great.
That sounds like another topic. Too good and too great. We'll end it with that, and we'll pick it up at some other time, maybe in the dead season of tennis. But we are at 44 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that will wrap things up from us. We should be back on Sunday evening. As long as you don't have anything going on, I don't think I do.
I don't know if I'm going to be back in town. I'm in Madison for the day. I will try and do my best to be back in town by 10 p.m. I'll keep you updated.
Volleyball plays this weekend at home?
When?
I think one game on Saturday.
I won't be there till like 7.
Oh. Okay, well, I tried. But anyway, I'll be watching on Big Ten, BTN to go, so don't worry. Okay, that is it from us. Thanks for stopping by the Hera Press Box.